years, Gary Cohen has helped represent incarcerated individuals throughout Texas obtain parole and fight parole revocations. We protect those who have fallen short of perfection from the wrath of those who believe they have attained it. For more information about Gary Cohen and his associates, Alan Bennett and Gene Anthis, you can find it at the website, parolelaw.com. You may also contact them at 512 476 6201.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willis, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show today. We have a great show planned for you today, as usual. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning, Texas. Good morning to the United States of America. And good morning to the entire world. Our big ship going around the solar system in the Milky Way throughout the entire universe. Good morning to the control room. How are my two favorite geniuses doing this morning?
And good morning to Brisbane, Australia. I
Good
mean, why
morning.
not?
Why not? Why not?
Somebody's got to be listening down there. Oh, we're doing pretty good here. Enjoying the weather change. Kind of windy this morning, windy and cool. And I have some news for you, Egberto. If all goes well today, we will be back on the air in Galveston at 89.5.
Yay!
We're going to go down there and put that translator in. We found a place for it and some electricity and a phone connection. So we're going to see if we can't get that thing to work. And if all goes well, you will be on 2 radio stations.
I love that. I love that. We'll be at KPFT 90.1 and KPFT. What's the other one? The call numbers again?
89.5. It's a translator.
89.5.
It's got some kind of a weird K2 something or another, like they all do now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to be interesting, is what I'll say.
Well, our reach is extended, everyone. Our reach is extended.
Yeah,
so,
well,
Senor Jacques. Yes.
Oh, I say extending over here is some wisdom from Jack.
All right. Good morning, Egberto.
Buenos días, hermano.
Okay. Personally, I do some things to make a personal protest. Like number one, it's the little things a person does in their own lives that says no to the status quo. My big one is drinking water bottles, not the water, the bottle. I wish they would change or charge a deposit on all plastic containers, from water bottles to laundry soap jugs.
Yeah.
Because there's getting to be just too much plastic going into our landfills. My second one is styrofoam cups and to-go containers. They're just bad for the environment. Consumptively, I've slowed down consumption a lot. Packaging is just too much. I mean, boxes full of individual bags of chips. Man, that's getting pretty crazy. I wish manufacturing and packaging would take a long look at their packaging practices.
That's right.
Because I see a lot. I could be Mr. Trash, I think. I think that's maybe what I should do is, devote my life to finding new ways to get rid of trash.
Okay. You can start here.
I took out the garbage.
You did. Thank you very much for that. Jack is very handy around here. Yesterday morning, he was down here vacuuming the floor. And after operating the board, those high-tech things that he does, takes out the trash for us. This man is just unbelievably valuable. He's valuable to me. He's valuable to KPFT. I can't say enough good about him.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Howard. And Howard is the heartbeat of KPFT 24/7.
Oh, Lord.
I think the audience right now, they know about Howard quite well, and they're also knowing a whole lot about Jack, the powers that be that allows us to be on air, giving all this, talking all this stuff and playing all this great music and giving all this great social information. But you know what, guys? From me to you, thank you so kindly. From me, or rather, from the rest of the country, hey, the rest of the world, for you guys allowing KPFT to be on here because I love the station, and you know why? Again, because we have the freedom. Freedom, of course, is relative, but we have the freedom to do so much good. And if we accept that freedom to do good, what else can one ask for? So, hey, thank you guys to start with for allowing and making this stuff happen. I'm on a response or
You're
something,
welcome.
man.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
The mic's
Come
off
on,
on
man.
We were
Anyway,
getting ready for a great show from Egberto today.
well, look, let
I'm
me.
the way I'm just a poor schmuck who shows up here.
Nah, man, invaluable. Hey, look, folks, look, we got a great show today. It's more. Let me just tell you though, I don't have any specific videos other than because last night I interviewed a great guy. I interviewed Dr. and he's in California. I'm here. For us to get these interviews scheduled and all that sort of stuff, sometimes it's difficult because time zones and all that kind of stuff. So 9 o'clock last night, I interviewed Dr. William Bronston. You guys are going to find this guy fascinating. I'm going to play him on Friday. I think on Friday. I'll either play him on Thursday or Friday. Great interview. It's going to be uplifting. We're going to be talking a whole lot about the healthcare system, but more on a detailed level. You guys are just going to like it. And likewise, over the this great holiday that's coming, we're going to have Dr. Richard Wolf, who's going to discuss a whole bunch on the economy. You can't miss that at all, folks. Let me just say two great interviews that you guys are going to find not only entertaining, but educational and informative. So be prepared for Thursday. I know a Turkey Day and the day after Turkey Day. It's going to be great. So don't stick out. Come on and stick it all on in. But you know, I read a whole lot in the research that I'm doing, and there are four articles, and you can find that in the newsletter. I relink to those articles in politicsandright.com/newsletter that really touched on me. But before I get started on this, I want to remind you guys that I think it's December 7th, the last day to choose how you are going to deal with your Social Security. For those of you who are 62 or older, who qualify, I'm sorry, 65 or older, and I'm not talking Social Security, I'm mixing my metaphors here, but Medicare. Please, folks, we've discussed that several times. I probably should have included this in the newsletter. I probably will in tomorrow's newsletter. Please be very careful when you're dealing with those who are trying to tell you whether to go with standard Medicare or Medicare Advantage. And Medicare Advantage, many times they don't make it sound like the private healthcare that it is. They try to make it sound like it's really a part of standard Medicare. The only thing that makes any comparison to Medicare is that it's paid for by the government. The government gives the money to the private insurance company to take care of you, but then you are under the control of the private insurance company, just like you are now. So just like they deny care, deny service, deny medicine, tell you who you can go to, all those things are re-available again just on steroids. For all my friends who already chose Medicare Advantage and who feel that they have a good Medicare Advantage plan, this is not an attack on you. This is not trying to tell you, oh, you made a bad decision, because there are in fact some people that's their only choice because they simply don't have the money to pay for um, Medigap, which handles the 20% of the Medicare portion doesn't pay for, and the portion of the Part D drug portion that one must get a rider for. But again, folks, for all of you who have the wherewithal, who have the extra dollars to say, I want the peace of mind, I couldn't urge you more to make sure you're not snowed into restrictive health care that Medicare Advantage in the aggregate brings you. Even if you're doing fine today, given that it's Medicare Advantage private health care, they're important. The important goal is not to keep you healthy. The important goal is to make a profit for the shareholder. The important goal is to make a bonus for the executive. And how do they make profits and bonuses? And I have nothing against profit and bonuses in sectors that should have it. You own a restaurant, you own a car dealership, you own a hair salon, you write soft. All those things are things that people can say yes or no to. I want it or I don't want it. I won't buy it until you reduce the price. With your healthcare, you don't have that option. You don't have the option to say, if you don't give me what I want, I'll wait. If you break your leg, you need it taken care of right away. There's no shopping around. There's no, if you don't reduce the price, I won't buy it. There are different areas that require different results. Please don't play with your health. Please do not play with your health care. We are already under 65, have to live under the domain or the dominion of the private health insurance companies. In our latter years, please, please, let's make sure not to let the corporate state once again bleed us dry through our healthcare dollars for Medicare, because ultimately you are still paying for it through the taxes. Your mother, your brother, your sister, all those that are under 65 are paying for the overpriced Medicare Advantage, of which the private sector gets more and you get less. Folks, if you want to, for those of you that are listening now, if you want to call at 713-526-5738 to ask any questions, etc., please feel to do so. But I cannot urge this strong enough. December 7th is the last day for those who are signing up for this cycle to sign up for Medicare. Please, if you have the wherewithal to, make sure to understand the differences between Medicare and Medicare Advantage. And I repeat for my friends and others who have already taken Medicare Advantage, understand that if you have the ability to do so, there is still the wherewithal to change only, I tell you, if you're still healthy where you would be able to afford the Medigap. But again, if you are sick on the Medicare's standard, on the Medicare Advantage, well, let's just say, please think about the possibilities of what private healthcare is all about. It's important, folks. Don't let the salesperson get to you with a free lunch. Don't let the salesperson get to you with, we give you a free health membership. If they're nothing is free. If they're giving you this thing, generally speaking, it's to take advantage of you. All right. 713-526-5738. I'm taking calls throughout because, like I said, I don't have videos. I have topics to cover. Title of the show today is, and I'm getting into it on the screen right now. Title of the show is Social Security Death Panels, Climate Emergency, or Political Labels a Farce and Projection? We must remain vigilant of Social Security. The climate emergency is even more real. Political labels in the US are misrepresented, and right wing pastor turned out to be the depraved one. I want to start there. If you are listening to the right wing right now, they would have, they're doing all kind of crazy things. And luckily, except for Texas, you know what happened throughout the country? Americans are starting to wake up. Americans are starting to wake up, from school boards to MUDs and everything else. They're starting to wake up to the force that is the right wing. And, they continuously try to ban books, control you, talk about illegit sex, etc., 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 etc. Well, guess what? Like I constantly talk about when we speak about the right, and that is projection, projection, projection. Most of the ills they try to apply to the rest of us are the things they themselves are deficient in. And here is the classic example. Here is the classic example I want to tell you guys about. But before I started, it seems like we already have a caller. And since you all take precedence, I will hold back on this article so I can go speak to Steve. So, folks, if you want to get into the conversation, if you want to comment about anything that I talk about, if you want to complain about anything, address anything, ask any questions, please call 713 526 5738. Again, that number is 713 526 5738. All our lines are available, so give us a call, 713 526 5738, extension number 2. Come on in, Steve. How are you doing this morning?
Hey, good morning, Brother Egberto.
Good morning, sir.
Let's see. I just wanted to call in and give a little bit of thanks. It's usually the week, we think about what we're thankful for. So thanks to you for being on the air. I changed my schedule and listen to you pretty regularly when I can.
Thank you. I am touched. Thank you, sir.
Thanks to Howard. I'm glad you're going to be in Galveston a little bit louder now, because I'm out there sometimes too. But I've changed. I've been able to, wake up and listen to you, kind of early in the morning. But you've introduced me to a few things. I thought I was pretty well groomed and educated in economics, but it turns out I wasn't. Richard Wolff, I had to start listening to him, and I started thinking about it a little bit more. And anyway, just want to be thankful to a lot of the callers I listened to, like Augie and Harry and Melissa and Moses, and you've really gotten kind of diverse, which helps people like me out listen a little bit more and be a little more thoughtful.
Let me tell you, Steve, I can't tell you how happy and thankful I am to have you and people like you as listeners, because, brother, all we are, and folks would tell you, I honestly believe we are one huge, big family, and that most of what occurs right now is the attempt to break that up for financial gain of a few. So if we can get together and stay together, we'll remain. We'll get things just right, brother. So you don't know, my heart bleeds. So thank you so kindly, brother.
Excellent. Keep going. Thanks, Alberto.
Have a wonderful day, sir. All right. You know what folks don't understand many times, Howard and Jack, is it's all about them. And we are behind these microphones here. And just knowing that, yes, the difference that we are attempting to make happens, there's nothing more humbling. Your thoughts on that, both Jack and Howard?
Oh, okay. Here we are. Had to wake Jack up. He's back there sleeping. My thoughts on being here and
No, your thoughts on, I mean, when you hear somebody like Steve calling and say, I've gotten something out of the program, because right now you turn on to a whole lot of programs and it's a shouting match and nobody's getting anything out of here, and we don't want to have that. We want to sit down and make a difference, and if we're not, we want people to say we're not. And listening to a Steve call and say, well, look, it's changed my process of certain types of thinking, and I'm calling in to I'm changing my schedule. What's
really, that's
better
what
than
you
hearing
want.
something like that?
There is nothing better than hearing something like that, that we're actually making a difference in someone's life. Yeah, you tune into these talk shows, and the host is berating the caller, and the caller is berating the host. It's nonsense. Okay, you can get that anywhere, but what you can't get anywhere is this radio station. And you can call us at 713-526-5738 extension 2. Talk to Jack. Jack will say, hey, we're going to put you on the air, and Egberto is waiting for you. We listen to your comments. We respond to your comments positively. I mean, what radio station does that? I mean, there's a big AM giant that, they're automated half the time with syndicated programs from out of town that you can't talk to. So this is local. This is local. This is live. This is something that you need, something that you want. You want genuine truth. You want genuine people. And Jack, I can't say enough about this man. I can't say enough good about this man. I can say a lot of things about him, but I wanted it to be all good. Jack, what do you got? What do you got, man? Well, why don't you come over here? All right, this is good.
Well, I thank the praise, and a lot of times, the little things I share are, come from the heart, and I try to think of them as spiritual and try to think of them as, making people think a different way in the way I present my little writings, just to open up a person's mind to think of something different. And I come down here, I get up every morning at 4 and leave at 4:30. I'm here by 5:15, start the machines up so we can get this KPFT, Subversive Free Speech Radio for Peace, on the air.
Subversive.
I love that.
I don't think we're subversive anymore. I mean, we used to be, but I think we're pretty much calmed down in our
But
older age.
let
But
me.
this thing has been going on for 53 years
Yes.
with
Yes.
listener support. 713-526-5738. If you like what you're hearing, if you love what you're hearing, support it. 713-526-5738, extension number 1 to make your donation. And they will take, you got $5. Okay. $10. Yeah, sure. You don't have to have an expensive subscription to this radio station to get everything that you need from it. Now, back
And
to the person whose show it is that I'm hijacking here.
no, you guys know. I ask you to come in, man, because this is our show. Let's remember that's how we operate. And something that Jack just said that I want to touch on before I get into this article. Jack said, I give my little thoughts out, or no, there ain't no little thoughts. Let me just say something to those of you that are listening, and why I so want to hear from all of you, right? Because here's the deal. You are thinking something, and sometimes people say, I don't want to say that because it's going to make me look stupid. I don't want to say that because it's going to make me look dumb. I don't want to say that because I mean, all these things people have in their minds, right? And a lot of that mindset is because of how people want. Look, right wingers call in here, and I'm listening to right wingers. And we give right wingers a hard time because I'm a very progressive guy. Okay, come on. But the other thing though is that you have guys that call in here, right wingers. I have a lot of respect for because I'm thinking through the things that they're saying, and I'm happy for the things that they're saying, so I can either modify what I'm saying, doing, or whatever, and even incorporating some of the little things that make them right wingers because of things that progressives get wrong. I mean, this is why we need the communication from everybody. This is why we need the inner thoughts from everybody. Whereas many are calling the Trump supporters stupid, I am trying to learn why they are Trump supporters, right? While some people call certain things stupid, I am not doing that. I'm trying to figure out why. Okay? After all, I have a huge family, and our huge family covers the spectrum. And guess what? I love my entire huge family. So I got to figure this stuff out, right? So I'm telling you this because it is you, the listener, who gives us the fuel. And I'm saying this metaphorically, but gives us the fuel for this type of discourse. 713-526-5738. 713-526-5738. Going back to the subject at hand now. First of all, the one where I talk about the right wing, the leadership of the right wing. And normally I'm talking about the leadership of these institutions. And the reason I'm talking about the leadership is the same thing that I just said. They're leaders, and they have a tendency to take the flock either over a cliff to drink damaged water, or good leaders who bring them the truth and make their lives more successful. But in the case, the right wing has been going through the country, banning books, trying to control women's bodies, trying to tell you that all these other people, those lefties, these others, are all pedophiles. They all want to do things to kids, all these kinds of things, right? And we have a lawyer out of Florida, and she lives in Florida. So she's a trans lawyer, lives in Florida and New York, decided to do something about the attacks that were coming against the trans community, against the LGBTQ community. And what she found out after going through the data, every single week, she goes through the data based on all the news throughout the country to find out who are the ones committing, in this case, sex crimes against kids. And, you know, what she's found out up to I haven't watched her in the last 3-4 weeks, is that there were 0 trans hurting children or affecting children sexually. 1 or 2 cross dressers, I think it was, that had dubious claims, but the vast majority of all these pedophiles and folks that had sex with kids and all of that turned out to be, religious people, pastors, it's police officers, teachers, etc. So it wasn't the people that that these guys are attacking. And one of the things you always hear me talk about is be careful with many on the right. What you see often is what we call projection, right? Projection is when you project your flaws onto somebody else and try to instantiate those flaws onto someone else when it is you with the flaw. Well, guess what? Newsweek article, I first saw it at Daily Kos, but I wanted a little bit more information to read about it because I'm like, no, not again. But here we are, Moms for Liberty. Everybody hear about Moms for Liberty? They're running around the country trying to change school boards into the image of some right-wing structure. Moms for Liberty, a national conservative group championing parental rights, partnered with a registered sex offender for outreach in Philadelphia area. Philip Fisher Jr., a pastor and Republican ward leader who coordinated faith-based outreach for a local Moms for Liberty chapter, is a registered sex offender in Illinois, where he lived before he returned to his hometown of Philadelphia. Fisher's 2012 felony conviction is a result of his guilty plea to aggravated sexual abuse of a 14-year-old boy. So not only is this pastor committed a crime against a kid, but the things that they hate the most, they always talk about LGBTQ folks being the abomination, right? And what is it that he's doing? Fisher's 2012 felony conviction is a result of his guilty plea to aggravated sexual abuse of a 14-year-old boy when Fisher was 25. The charge was one of 12 against Fisher after a Chicago Police Department investigation. Fisher has denied any wrongdoing, alleging that he was the subject of a railroad job from a political action committee for Lyndon LaRouche, who was retaliating against Fisher for trying to leave the group. Newsweek reached out to the PAC via email for a comment. Moms for Liberty, Tina Deskovich, and Tiffany Justice told Newsweek in a statement, "We do not condone the action of anyone who hurts children. Ever." Well, you ban books. What do you think banning books do? or does? Banning books does. I mean, what do you think it does? It hurt kids because it prevents them from having knowledge outside of the tunnel vision of those attempting to ban books. All right. So Fisher told the Philadelphia Inquirer that because he is a known and respected pastor throughout the city, check it out. He's a known and respected pastor, the pedophile, a known and respected pastor. He helped connect moms for Liberty's Philadelphia chapter with religious organizations in the area, including other pastors, a rabbi, and an imam. He also volunteered at the Moms Liberty Summit during the summer in Philadelphia, where former President Donald Trump, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, and former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley delivered speeches. Oh my God. You know what we say again? Projection. Welcome aboard, Eric Hayes, who says I'm bashing religion. No, I'm not. I'm not. My wife is a deacon. All right. And Pastor Sloan of the Luke in Humble, Texas, great friend of mine. I'm not a religious guy, but I love this guy for what he's doing in the community. So no, I'm not anti bashing religion at all. But the religion that does the most attacking, like what has happened here in the Second Baptist Church. I know you guys have followed the story that I covered in the Houston Chronicle. All these people that are always pointing the finger always seem that the fingers are all. I say the four fingers are pointing back. Well, hell, they should be pointing all fingers towards themselves. So no, Eric, that's not it at all. I am not bashing religion. I think those who are religious and doing good things, we praise. Those who are doing religion and doing bad things, we don't. And again, if you take a look at the stats, I'm sorry, most of when you see those who are affecting kids, most of the times you find it on the right. I am not saying the left is clean of and pure and all these things. I'm just saying the people that are doing the most complaining and attacking are the ones that are projecting what they do. 713-526-5738. Please don't wait till the end of the show to call. Why not? Because then I kind of have to rush you off the air. Please give us a call at 713-526-5738, extension number 2. Give me your thoughts. Love to hear what you have to say. Remember, no thought is too little. No thought is too big. No thought is wrong or right. Just give us a call. 713-526-5738. I know it's Thanksgiving. Many of you may be checking into the roads. All right. The second subject that I want to talk about is the 5-alarm global temperature. For a second, when you do the aggregate temperature of the earth, the thing that we've been trying to maintain is not to go over 1.5 degrees Celsius centigrade. Okay. Well, for a few hours, the global temperature exceeded that. While scientists were quick to point out that this was just a daily anomaly, not a permanent shift, it's a canary in the coal mine that underscores the urgency of tackling greenhouse gases. Global temperatures surpassed, this is from Olivia Rosane at the Common Dreams. Global temperatures surpassed 2 degrees centigrade above pre-industrial levels for the first time Friday, according to preliminary data from the European Union's Copernicus Climate Change Service. The European Center for Medium Range Weather Forecast (ERA5) data set showed global surface air temperatures rising 2.07 centigrade above the 1850 to 1900 average on Friday and 2.06 above the average on Saturday, the service said. This is a 5-alarm fire for humanity, the group Climate Defiance tweeted in response to the figures. And on the screen right now, I have the chart, and that chart looks ominous, and I just put it on the screen for those of you who want to see it. That chart is ominous. When you take a look at the aggregate temperatures around the world. So for those of you who are watching on the screen, I just showed that on the screen, and I'm about to take it off right now. So we gotta take this stuff seriously, and it doesn't help that our good friends in Argentina just elected Javier Milei, who is a libertarian nut job. And notice I don't use these words often, but anyone who puts our climate at risk, I don't have a choice but to define the person. He doesn't believe in global warming, and we have a lot of people on the right coming up, folks, that don't. So let's be careful as we start electing folks. This stuff is real. It's something that we have to heed, and people may say, well, we just don't have control over this. We do, to some extent. A volcano could erupt and throw a lot of stuff in the air, but of course, if it does that, actually what happens is more cooling than warming. But again, folks, Milei has also claimed, he called climate change a socialist hoax. He called climate change a socialist hoax. So just like we're watching these temperatures rise, we see the correlation between dumping CO2 and other chemicals into the air with that, and we see the evidence, and he calls it a hoax. Those are the things that we have to be careful of, folks. Those are the things that we have to be careful of. Continuing. In 2015 Paris Agreement, world leaders set out to keep warming to well below 2 degrees centigrade above pre-industrial level. Allowing warming to breach that point increases several climate risks, according to the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. 2 degrees centigrade of warming compared with 1.5 C would raise sea levels by an additional 0.1 meters by 2100, destroying 99% of coral reefs instead of 70 to 90%, and expose several hundred million people to poverty and climate-related hazard by 2050. And let me tell you what's the sadness within that reality about what it's going to do to the people around the world. The people that have least benefited from the Industrial Revolution, in other words, the countries that didn't throw a lot of carbon in the air. A lot of these countries are the low-lying countries, folks. Think about this. The low-lying countries, the coastal countries, the countries that this climate change is going to affect their agriculture and everything else, right? We, the rich countries, have continued to throw this crap into the air. We, the rich countries, are calling it a hoax when we talk about climate change. And the countries that get affected the first, countries around the equator that are burning, countries that are having their growth spells thwarted. So, of course, what do? They migrate. And when they migrate to the places like the United States and many countries in Europe, we start to get those who are against immigrants, right? They are against immigrants. But it's a problem that these countries that the immigrants are rushing to many a times, a problem they created. The dishonesty about those who are anti-climate change and anti all these things are sad. Friday's 2-degree breach was first noted by Copernicus Climate Change Service Deputy Director Samantha Burgess on social media Sunday. She said The day was also 1.17 C above the 1991-2020 average, making it the warmest November 17 on record. I'll pause here to get to Anonymous, who's calling on the phone right now. Anonymous, come on in. And by the way, folks, 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. Please don't wait till the very end of the show to call. Like to hear from all of you right now. Anonymous, you're on.
Morning. Lyndon LaRouche, can I give you a real short fun fact? Roberto?
Sure, go ahead.
So he was approached by Goldman Sachs and Citibank in 1998 to write this thing called Silk Road's Trade Route, a Euro-Asia trade bloc. And it was, based on Marco Polo's, from the Far East to the West, Euro-Asia. And it's had several iterations, I think. It's called One Belt, One Route now, which incorporates Sudan and Israel. But that's pretty neat. That crazy guy, Lyndon LaRouche, wrote the original trade plan for this thing we call now BRICS. Ain't that neat?
Well, I don't know that he wrote the, BRICS. I know how BRICS came into existence, and I don't know how much Lyndon LaRouche really had to play about that.
So,
If you have the documentation or link for that, I would love to see the link that qualifies that, because as far as I know of, BRICS was pretty much organic to kind of go against the banking system controlled by the West. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I doubt. I thought I did my research on that.
Shift of hands. It seems like, Alberto, that it's a shift of hands. But I just want to give you that fun fact. Now,
all right,
you go after the people that make that create harm to the planet. I like that. So since China has complete no worries of creating these coal mines, and the rest of the world, Eurasia, they're turning back on their coal plants because the old man winter's coming, and that mafia's trying to stay away from Russia, but it's gonna get cold, I think. So if the rest of Eurasia is going back to coal, whatever, just because they have to out of necessity, and we have the Green Initiative commitments of only 15%. The report I read is that's 15% commitment, not actual provided.
Right.
The report shows it's not going to happen. There is no means or funding for at least Western Europe's effort to do the Green Initiative. So I'm not saying there isn't climate change and what man contributes. I'm just saying it seems like it's a in vain effort. Not I'm saying don't try, but we're gonna spend. The rest of the world is doing BRICS. What this? I'll try to get off the phone. The rest of the world.
Let me just say this because
I can't say real quick and get off. Can't say real quick.
All right, go ahead, real quick.
Yeah, thanks. So they're gonna basically move to BRICS, and BRICS has no really concern about the Green Initiative, while the G7, these last mafias that follow NATO, they're going to march down that path of EV and all that stuff. But the big trading bloc now called BRICS, or One Belt, One Route, they're moving forward, and they're not playing this Green Initiative because they got business to do. And these little mafia countries, this last 7 of them, whatever they are, NATO or the G7, they're just going to keep on doing this crazy stuff while the rest of the world's moving on. That's my opinion. Okay.
Okay. Wait a minute. Define what is the crazy stuff. I'm just curious. What do you call the crazy stuff? Oh, you hung up. All right. Anyway, let me first say something. All right, because when it comes to green energy, well, here on the text, Eric says green energy isn't stable, isn't why they go to coal. All right. Let's be clear here, and I want everybody to understand this. green energy isn't stable. Yeah, what Eric means is, well, the wind doesn't always blow and the sun doesn't always shine. As if green energy is solely dependent on wind energy and and solar energy. That is where limited capitalist thinking is at. You define green energy by wind, solar. You then put out all the data that shows that wind and solar are intermittent. You then put out the data that says creating the batteries that serve as a back-end store, meaning store the energy for when wind isn't blowing, when the sun isn't out, as being as not being sufficiently efficient, or somehow being more polluting, or somehow requiring you to do more damage than you create. You put those three things together, and if folks don't really get proper information, that's what they believe of green energy. And what the anonymous caller, who isn't anonymous, I really know who it is, but the anonymous caller can then make the notion that, those silly things, right? After all, and we can have a notion from one of our great listeners here in Eric Hales that says, oh, batteries in the cold suck, and all these things, instead of saying whatever problems we have with batteries, we solve. Whatever problems we have with wind energy, we solve. Whatever problems we have with solar energy, we solve. But that's one matter. Green energy is also hydropower. Green energy is also thermal power from within the earth. Green energy is also using the gradients in temperature between the top soil and the bottom soil. In other words, you have a gradient in heat. If you're up close to the surface, there's a temperature. If you're deep down, there's another temperature. That's called, in science terms, that's called potential difference. And a potential difference, a difference in temperature, a difference in height, all of that is the manifestation of possible energy. I shouldn't say possible energy because it has a real name. Potential energy that can be tapped. You know what stops it from being tapped? Our economic system. You know, the economic system of the ant is everybody work together for the colony and the colony survives. That's the economic system of the ant colony. The economic system of many colonies that you see work in harmony. The bee colony, all these colonies work because they don't depend on a limiting factor. In our economic system, even though we have the labor, the work, the people, that we can build all these types of infrastructure to create a completely different a different energy outlook. Remember, I said there were many other energies, right? Difference in temperature by sticking stuff into the ground at different levels, we get a potential difference here. Difference in wave energy, meaning we can actually, the weight. Whenever you see a wave, right? If you just put a meter down below a wave, whenever the wave is tall, that meter is compressed. Whenever the wave is short, that meter goes down. I mean, there are so many forms of green energy that is more energy than we need. But under our current economic system, under the capitalist system where it says to create a project, we somehow get rich investors. They must be able to see a return on said dollar before that project can come to fruition. And by the way, we don't want the government investing in projects of this nature if we don't see some profitability later on. Folks, it's an economic system that prevents green energy from coming to fruition as it should, because there's more than enough green energy. And when we say green energy, we mean non-pollutant energy in the aggregate. Notice I said in the aggregate. Johnny, come on in.
You know what I'm thankful for in this pre-Thanksgiving holiday?
Tell me.
Besides you and all the folks at KPFT, George Carlin. He reminded us in one of his final series of HBO-like appearances that he was grateful for the sun. Why? Because the sun ain't going nowhere as far as we know. The sun is the source of all energy on Earth. Coal is ancient sunlight. That's all it is. Besides which, why would you want to depend on coal when you've got to tear up the Earth to get it? You talk about sustainability? No. Stability? Coal ain't it. Gas ain't it. Sunlight is. Sunlight and wind. That's it. That's our energy. And guess what? It's pretty, almost cursed. It's cheap, inexpensive. We have to be smart enough to know how to harness it and how to direct it. Challenge is on us. The challenge is on us and not on the Luddites who showed up at the RNC over 6 years ago, bumping into each other when Donald Trump got nominated. We don't depend on them. They're not the scientists. We got you and other scientists. That's your job.
You know, Johnny, I'm glad that you made a very important notion there, that coal and oil, sorry, is just the sun stored. Because that is such, I mean, a lot of people don't get it. These are, sorry about that, guys. I just got a coughing spell. That's okay.
That's all it is. It's just another way of storage of energy.
I got too excited, man. I got too excited from, because I don't often hear somebody remember that, in fact, coal is sun energy, because it's a plant that got the that actually got its energy from the sun, died, and the carbon that the sun allowed it to pull out of the air was actually then stored into the ground. Same with oil, gas, everything. Johnny, I tell you, I got the smartest listeners on the planet.
There's May McCheese, if you please.
All right, John. I think, thank you, Johnny. Thank you very much for your call. Happy Turkey Day to you too, my friend. But, it's so important. It is so important for us. Go ahead.
Yeah, the ancients, they praised the sun, and now we know why. Maybe they knew more than we realized.
Well, the sun is a powerful thing, man. The sun is now. I want to make one thing. The sun eventually going to burn out, but it's so many billion years away that we don't even need to think about it. So Johnny says coal is green energy. You know something, Eric? Yes, actually, let me tell you something, Eric. You surprise me sometimes, because it's amazing how you make the analogy of what Johnny said for truity, right? It's green energy because it came from the sun. But no, it's not green energy in that the sun cleaned the air of the coal. I repeat, my dear Eric, the sun was used to take the carbon out of the air in the form of dead plants that use the sun to get the energy to take the carbon out of the air, then died and get deposited into that. Okay. All right. So just want you to know that. All right. Always at the end of the program. Come on in, Brian. How are you doing, my dear brother?
Okay.
Brian, my brother, come on in. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. When you're talking about solar power, what's the output of a solar panel so far? One solar panel. How many watts does it put out?
It all depends. I just got it. Say that again. Go ahead.
No,
Brian. Go ahead, Brian.
Increase in efficiency since 1973. What's the increase in efficiency of a solar panel?
I don't have the number off the top of my head, but it's quite a bit.
No, it's not.
Actually, it is, sir.
It's not.
All right,
Okay,
I'm
it
gonna
started out at
have.
3 volts. Now it's 26 volts since
Okay,
1973.
that does, okay.
What was the
Voltage doesn't
technology?
tell you, Brian. Let me finish. Voltage is not efficiency. Efficiency is defined as how much more percentage of the light versus heat that you get out of the out of a particular panel.
No, that's not my question. What is the increase in efficiency since its inception in 1973?
I don't have that figure with me right now. I don't.
Okay, yeah. All right. Okay.
Okay,
Now you
but
talk
what is your
about
point though, Brian? What point are you trying to make?
you always go back to capitalism being the threat to the world.
Yes.
The threat to the world is not capitalism.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to
You're
go back quickly to the
No,
solar
wait,
panel.
You broke up. You broke up. You said the threat to the world isn't capitalism, and I said, okay, what is the threat to the world?
1 minute left.
Okay.
Governmental domination.
Okay. I tell you what, Brian, like I tell everybody, please call earlier so we can have a good conversation. And by the way, this time your phone is breaking up. It's so I ask you the next time to call, where you're closer to your Wi-Fi or whatever it is that you use. But I've just got the 1 minute warning, so I need to pass it along to Brother Jack and Brother Howard here to give us a closer before we get out of here.
I'm sure that I don't understand Brian's question or his statement at all. It's like, hey, come on, man. Seriously? All right. Anyway, that's about it for me. And Jack has some wisdom for us all.
One time I had a professor draw a timeline and a little dot on it. He called it the Industrial Revolution. And the body, when it has a contagion, it heats itself up to drive out the contagion. Mother Earth is a live being and it's reacting to climate change.
Wow, I've never heard that one as far as it's true, the fevers clean things up. Oh, good one. Anyway, I got to get out of here. Look, thank you, Howard and Jack, for always getting things right. Thank you to the audience. Thank you for the callers, all of you. Love you guys. Thank you for the chatters on the internet. My name is Egberto Willis. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out!